didn't even know. There were days where I didn't even know what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. And I don't know what's going on with the Facebook connection, but it just went off. But we gonna keep it going. It's gonna be a 3-part series this time, because that ain't nothing but the enemy trying to stop me from being great. And guess what? She gonna be great regardless. Yeah, I said it, and before I take it back, I'm gonna add more to it. You're tuning into yeah, I said it, and we're talking about return on your investment. Not only do you have to make sure that you're staying focused on what it is that you want to do, but you have to make sure that you're disciplined. One of the things that was hindering my business and hindering some of my relationships was the fact that I wasn't disciplined. I was just doing whatever, whenever I could get something done, I did it. Whenever I didn't want to do something, I didn't. I would spend money as soon as I got it instead of saving it. I had to change some of those behaviors, because if I didn't change those behaviors, then I wouldn't get the results that I'm so desperately seeking. And see, if you don't change the behaviors, if you don't change the way that you go about doing things, especially when you know it's not working. If something isn't working and you have tried to fix it and it's still not working, then that means that you have to maneuver a new way of doing things, or you need to eliminate the people that are connected to what it is that you're doing. There are some people that I partner with that didn't put in as much work as me. There were some people that I worked for that's exactly what I felt like. I felt like I was working for them, and there was no benefit in what it is that I was doing for me. I made them look great. I made them look big. Made them look amazing. But at the end of the day, how was this beneficial to me? So I had to learn to become disciplined in the things that I wanted to do, because the more disciplined that you become, the more you can execute what it is that you're trying to do, your strategy. It's easier for you to maneuver because you become a little bit more disciplined. There are some times where I couldn't go out to the club. I couldn't hang out with my friends. I couldn't spend no money. I couldn't party and parlay and go shopping and go get my hair done, because there was a point where I was getting a new wig every other month, but that stuff adds up. That stuff starts adding up. And I'm not saying just stop living life and just stay focused. But what I am saying is learn to make wise decisions that's going to benefit you personally and your business, your employment, your career, whatever it is that you're trying to do, your relationship. If you and your spouse or boo is struggling financially, stop trying to go out to dinner every weekend. One of y'all need to learn how to cook. If not both of y'all, ramen noodles can go a long way. You add some shrimp to it, or cut up some meat, casserole, lasagna. Learn to make things that will stretch, instead of living beyond your means. Because when you live beyond your means, then you become frustrated with life. When you start living beyond your means, I had to turn in one of my vehicles. I'm not about to be stressed out over no $600 car note with insurance, and that was the cheap side of it. So I got to go back to the drawing board to get my wheels, because at the end of the day, that was causing me anxiety and stress, and nothing is more important than your health. Your health is your wealth, and there's no purpose in you striving to be this big shot, this great person, this great employer, this great this, that, and the third, and you're stressed out. You're mentally foggy. You got stress on your heart. You close to having a heart attack or a stroke, if not already having one. Because you're not expounding on what it is that you need to talk about, and you're not actually dealing with the things that you need to talk about. If you're tuning in, you're listening to Yeah, I Said It. And before I take it back, I'm going to add more to it. We're talking about getting a return on your investment. And not only that, but you have to learn to lose early. There were some things that I failed at that devastated me. My marriage, my mom dying, not being able to help her get her health back, to that played a huge mental factor in my life, in my mind. Like I went into a deep depression, and I mean deep, y'all. I mean to the point where I just was like suicidal, psychotic. Like I just was on edge. I was drinking every day. I was smoking every day. Like I was just trying to find something to cope with what was happening in my world. Because I was smiling and talking to everybody. Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on? You know, Zsa Zsa style. because I didn't want to seem like I didn't have it together. You know, my sisters were having emotional breakdowns. You know, one had started having sex and she started feeling herself. I got a teenager over here. And then not to mention, I'm a mother. So now I got to raise my son. I'm a single parent. I ain't getting the help that I need to be able to sufficiently raise and take care of him to be the young man that I need him to be. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just scrambling. I'm all over the place. I'm looking at my church home and they doing whatever they doing that wasn't right, and they knew they wasn't right, and I got to still keep coming there every week trying to get my release, but then I'm leaving there heavier than what I came there with. So it was just a lot. It was a lot, you guys. And the thing about it is I really recommend, if you're in a stressful situation, that you get a therapist, that you go see somebody. UAD has a free program where you can go for free therapy. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because when you don't talk about the things that you're going through, it will all boil over and you will snap. And then you'll end up doing things that you will regret, saying things that you will regret. And I know this for a fact because I've been there, done it. Yeah, I said it, and before I take it back, I'm going to add more to it. And I ain't ashamed because it happened. It needed to happen because it's real. It's real life. And people are struggling, dealing with stressful situations, and they acting like the stuff don't exist. They're acting like everything is okay, and everything was not okay. I am so much better, you guys. I thank God. That's why every time I start my show, I say I'm in my right mind. Because it's nothing like being in the wrong state of mind. It's trying to operate and do things the right way when you're thinking the wrong way. And you have to protect your mind, because if you protect your mind, what will follow is your body. But if your mind is off, your body's off. You end up trying to figure out why you got sore spots in your body or tender areas, because that's where stress is being held up inside your body. You wonder why you're having heart palpitations and your breathing is uneasy, or you have these chronic headaches. You're stressed out. And you're trying to cope with stresses that you know you should be talking about or dealing with. There needs to be some boundaries that need to be set. And I'm going to tell you, you will get a return on your investment when you actually take care of you. When I started taking care of Jaja, it made it easier for me to take care of other things that I wanted to do, including my child, my siblings. It allowed me to be able to maneuver as a better friend, hopefully in the future, another companion or wife, if that's what God has in store for me. But I'm able to identify things that were attacking me and things that I was dealing with that I chose not to address. And I say I chose not to address because I knew what was wrong with me, but I chose to ignore it. And you guys got to stop ignoring things that you know ain't right. If you know that man ain't treating you right, stop acting like he is. If you know that woman ain't doing you right, stop acting like she is. If you know this job is stressing you out and you don't know what to do, you need to start looking for another place of employment. Ain't nothing better than your health. And if you are stressed out about a job, a career move, I had to pull back from some of my businesses. That don't mean that they still don't exist. That doesn't mean that I'm a failure. But I had to learn to fail early, so that way when I get in my 40s and my 50s and my 60s and my 70s, I can reap the benefits of what I invested now. I can reap the investments later in the time that I've taken to take care of myself, as well as my businesses. So that way, when I have a bigger brand and I am employing thousands of people, when issues arise, I'm not biting my fingernails. I'm not pulling out patches out my wig and stressed out, because now I have identified what areas need to be worked on and what are some of the things that I need to do. And the quicker that you learn how to fail, the quicker you'll be able to deal with failures. You'll be able to deal with a relationship. Oh, well, we broke up. You know, I loved him. We cared about each other, but it just didn't work out. I'm dating Marcus now. It'll be real simple. You ain't still crying over John. John broke my heart and I can't get over it. Baby, you saw the end of that relationship before it ended. You just weren't anticipating your investment to come back null and void, because you were anticipating that person was going to change, that that person was going to do something different. And I'm going to tell you something. Closer to the demise of my marriage, we started going to counseling. It was great counseling, don't get me wrong, but we had already gotten to a point where we despised each other and we didn't like each other and we didn't like where this was headed. But we were learning to deal with each other and still find a way to possibly salvage the marriage that had already ended long time ago. And the thing about it is that she told us is that if the person that you're with never changes, you have to learn to be okay with that. And that goes for anything in life. If your job never promotes you, you're going to have to learn to be okay with that. If your spouse never treats you the way that you need to be treated, you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to be okay with that? There are so many relationships that end and they don't last, or they last for long periods of time because we have wasted so much time knowing we were unhappy. We stay together because of kids, or we stay at a job because of the benefits, or we stay in a career that we know we no longer have any passion for, but because the money is good, we want to stay there. We want to keep looking like we finessing and keeping up with the Joneses, but your mental state of mind is unhealthy. And you have to be mindful. Those are cases where aneurysms come. Those are cases where heart attacks, and they're prevalent in the community where we look like this. Because we're not dealing with or addressing some of the challenges, obstructions, and conflicts that we're dealing with in our life. And at the end of the day, I said it, and before I take it back, I'm going to add more to it. You heard me the first time. If you're tuning in, you're listening to I Said It, and we're talking about getting a return on your investment. We talked about my young entrepreneurship, and make sure that you go back and tune in, share the video. It's going to be a 3-part series, so I'm going to try to figure out how I can put all these videos back together to make it one. But I'm also on my Instagram, and I'm also on my Facebook. And at the end of the day, we also have to learn not only just to fail forward, but we also have to learn the difference between competition and competitiveness. Unfortunately, other ethnicities have caused us to be against each other than to be with each other. And we're always looking at each other as if we're competition instead of being competitive. It's a difference between being competitive and being in a competition with someone. I'm in no competition with no one. I don't need to be. Because what God has for me is going to be for me, and I'm going to win regardless because I'm in a race by myself. So I'm always going to have a gold medal, because I'm the only component and the only opponent in my race. But the minute that you start looking to the left and to the right of you, you start having competition with people that you didn't even need to be in competition with in the first place. And we're much more effective when we work together than when we work against each other. Because at the end of the day, if I choose to build a team, you best believe my team is going to be the bomb.com, and you're going to be looking like a small little crumpet. I'm going to be looking like the big fish on campus while you looking like the little goldfish that we got to flush down the toilet. So you got to be very mindful of who you decide that you want to be in competition with, instead of being competitive with yourself and what it is that you're doing. Because if you put money, time, effort, emotion, physicalness, spirituality, and invest that in what it is that you're doing, you will get a return on your investment. But the minute that you start investing your time and being competitive with your neighbor or your brother or your sister, you're going to fail. The return on that investment is not going to be what you're anticipating, because you're going to be looking foolish while they keep climbing, they keep escalating, they keep grooming and growing, and you're trying to figure out why. You know why that is because you're paying attention to the wrong thing. Instead of reaching out a hand and saying, hey, let's work together to build this relationship, you would rather create a space and obstruction to cause not just conflict, but to cause discourse. And anytime there's discourse, there is no God in that. There is no positivity in discourse. There is no positivity in hatred. You got to think about it. And I'm not trying to be deep or go into this, spiritual, religious, comments. But you got to look at the biblical characters, the brothers, Cain and Abel, and the other brothers who stole the birthright. Competitiveness, competition, and you lose every time. You lose every time, because not only do you lose, but you end up losing out on relationships that could be lifelong beneficial relationships. There are people that my mom had relationships with that I now have relationships with because she was positive with them. There are relationships that my son has acquired because of the people who have relationships with me. And I chose to make a decision to be positive with those individuals. There are going to be some relationships that your children are going to benefit from if you pay attention and build those relationships now. But the minute that you choose not to run those relationships, think about it. Think about somebody who is working on a little company right now and it ends up being one of the Fortune 500 companies, and you trying to get your child an internship or a job, or you're trying to get a job there. You won't be able to get a job with that particular company for the simple fact that you didn't build a relationship when it was a little business. So you have to pay attention to the relationships that you build at this present moment, because they will help you later down the line in your future endeavors. It may not be now. You may not understand it now. You may not see the benefit of the relationship now, but there's going to come a point in time where those relationships are going to be beneficial. And how you treat people is also a determining factor. It's a lot of people that know a lot of people, but they don't care about them. They don't like them. They talk about them behind their back. They think they this, they think they that. And at the end of the day, you can know all the people you want to know, but if you're not right to people, and if you don't do good by people, you won't get a return on your investment. You'll just be very popular. And what can you do with popularity other than to just be more popular? You can't gain no capital off of it if nobody likes to deal with you. And at the end of the day, yeah, I said it, and before I take it back, I'm going to add more to it. And not only that, but when you fail forward, you end up getting to your destination much quicker. Whatever vision it is that you have for your life, for your business, for your relationship, when you know your destination, when you know where you're going, when you have a exact idea of what it is that you want to do with your life, you are able to get to that destination much quicker. When I started zeroing in on what are the things that I want to say, the points that I wanted to make, when I created the skit that I wanted to create for my shows and the things that I wanted to do, I had a better focus. I had a better strategy. I had a better way of doing what it is that I'm doing, because there was a vision there and I had to zero in on it. But when I became all over the place, that's how it came across. And if you look at some of my beginning videos up until now, you can see that I tell a story. I tell a story in a way where you all are able to comprehend it, and you can apply those methods and the things that I say to your everyday life. And yeah, I said it, and before I take it back, I'm going to add more to it. And I know you heard me the first time. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm clear, I'm concise, and I'm effective. And you want to be effective and have value in whatever it is that you do. But that's when it comes to taking pride into what you do. If you lazy at what you do, then laziness is what's going to come across. But if you're hyped, turned up all the time, when people see me, they be like, girl, are you always like this? You always turned, you always hyped. Because I'm grateful, because I know where I've come from and I know what I've had to go through to get to where I am. And these are just snippets of some of the things that I talk to you all about. If I really go into detail, y'all gonna be like, girl, okay? Not only that, but you also have to be careful what you ask for, what you pray for. And I mentioned that earlier on in the show. There were things that I prayed about that I wasn't, A, specific in detail. 2, I wasn't in a position to receive what I was asking for. And 3, once I received it, how did I handle it? Some of us are asking and expecting and seeking things that we're not in a position to receive, we're not in a position to take care of, and we're not in a position to really cultivate it the way that we want to. So you have to be very mindful and careful as to what you ask for. I asked for a new car. I didn't anticipate having to pay $600 every month. That's a lot of money to be paying for one vehicle, especially if the rate of the vehicle and the vehicle cost